All right, good morning on this cold setup on this Tuesday, the 14th of January. Hello, everyone. I'm wave meteorologist Brian Good. Welcome to SnowTALK, Wave Weather Blog here on this Tuesday. Again, a very cold setup. This is not the coldest this week. That's still yet to come. And probably not the coldest this season. That is still yet to come in the 10-day. I'll show you that coming up in a few minutes. As always, on the blog itself, you can comment on our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, X, Twitch, and YouTube. Otherwise, if you're watching on streaming, I may mention comments or fly them up at times, as some of you notice on social media. So if you're wondering what I'm referring to, that's where you see the comments fly up. You can't always see it on the streaming side. So, all right. So everyone's talking about the cold, right? Everyone's frozen this morning. I get it. Some spots we're down to about 2, especially in the Meade County. Louisville, we dropped to 16. This morning for a low temperature. So cold, not the coldest, but certainly it was a cold setup. As I mentioned, we'll get even colder tonight. All right, a lot to cover in a short amount of time because we have a lot of news issues going on today too. So I want to make sure to give some time for them. But let's get right into the chances as we look ahead. Snow showers or flurries for some today. It's not going to be widespread. The chances are fairly low, in fact, on getting a coverage today. So the air is quite dry, so it's got to struggle. Thursday has been added, and this looks like it could be a combination of freezing drizzle or flurries. I'll explain coming up. And Saturday night into Sunday still looks like the light rain, whatever's in the area that's rain, will go to light snow as we get colder for the second half of the holiday weekend. Speaking of that, as we close out the holiday itself and into Tuesday, still have that potential for that southern system to affect us. A lot of questions yet on how that will play out. The latest thinking coming up in just a few minutes. Right now, this is a very cold look at Huber's Orchard and Winery right now, where temperatures again running into the teens in many areas, but we are trying to warm up fairly quick now that we got some sunshine in the area. The thermometer is actually going to get into the 30s today. Louisville could actually get above freezing for a few hours this afternoon. So a little bit of a bonus on the warmth. But what a range. You can tell where the clouds moved in quick into Bedford. You're struggling to climb. Where the sun's been out, yeah, it's cold, but that also allows us to gain a few more degrees than other areas that are staying cloudy. So a little bit of a variance on temperatures today, depending on the sunny zones and the cloudy areas. So location matters today, but in general, I think a lot of us will stay below freezing, but Louisville will likely be one of the exceptions to get above it. 24 now, 15 and Seymour and into North Vernon. All right, let's get to the radar where we've got a mix of the, on the visible satellite, a mix of the snow cover, clouds, and some snow that is showing up here on the radar. Anything that is not moving just kind of lights up. That is the snow cover on the ground looking from space down. You can tell, again, the snowpack still extends to about Horse Cave, Mammoth Cave area, Kentucky, into Edmonson County, it looks like. Anything moving that is that gray shade is clouds. You can see a batch of clouds moving in southwest Indiana, moving toward Louisville. So, yes, Louisville is about to become overcast for a few hours at least as we head toward lunch today. And then the snow is back toward Indianapolis. But so far, it has been struggling to fill in on the southern side of this. This is an Arctic boundary that is moving across the Midwest, and it's becoming very slanted. So it's not a north-south type of setup on the band of snow moving through. It is very much a east or a slanted northeast to southwest type of angle here across wave country, more like this. So there is still a chance that if any snow showers develop in this portion of Missouri and Illinois, they would actually move into central Kentucky, versus this snow here into central Indiana is likely to head towards Cincinnati. So yes, for Louisville, that means what about the gap in between the two? And that's still a big giant question mark. Will that fill in, or will it just be a batch of clouds? That's why the snow chance is low today because of that idea. We'll watch the radar and see what happens. Even if it does develop, it's got a very low moisture content in general, and the best moisture overall is on the northern section of this. So even if this were to develop, it would only be flurries. So at the moment, I don't see any accumulation potential on this if this radar trend holds. This is going to stay all to the north. All right, cold for sure. And very cold tonight with temperatures dropping easily into the single digits. Some will drop below zero. Again, Meade County dropped to 2. It's those locations, the colder locations, especially in the valleys that we have into more in Kentucky. Indiana, of course, being a little more of a flat terrain, fairly easy and uniform on temperatures being into the single digits to around zero. Across Kentucky, it varies whether or not you are in some of these valleys or not. So the temperature variance will be a couple degrees below zero to as warm in Louisville as about 9 to 10 or so above zero. Either way, cold. And once again, if your car battery has been struggling, or if you've had an issue with cars in general this week on its performance, tomorrow's going to be a battle for it. So hopefully everything's working okay. And if not, get it taken care of in the short term. Otherwise, you'll have a busy day tomorrow and more cold coming next week. So it's good to take care of this already, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to walk you through Futurecast. We'll do this. One of our high res, this is our in-house model. And I think actually it's done fairly well on the past couple of systems in the area. And you can see how it takes us into the low to mid 30s here in Louisville with that batch of clouds, keeps the majority of the snow north. Right now, based on the radar presentation, I like the look of this. It makes sense. So there you go. Again, very cold tonight. Now, this model only takes us to about 12 or 13 for a low. It doesn't take us below 10. So Louisville has struggled, and that's not that it's a bad thing, but Louisville has struggled on the sensor to get it below 10, even with the snowpack, which is a bit unusual. A lot of discussion about that as of late, because it's not normal for clear skies in the snowpack. Wind direction and speed matters too, don't get me wrong, but with a light wind scenario, usually we see these numbers tank rapidly, and in Louisville we've actually been above a bit more elevated. But surrounding spots, you bet, you guys frigid by early tomorrow. Now here's where the change kicks in for the forecast, and this is not so much on Wednesday itself. Tomorrow, I think tomorrow's fine, sunny, cold, frigid day. It's Thursday. Another boundary works its way in, and it will try to scoop up moisture in the area. Now, it's showing snow across southeast Indiana and right along the 71 corridor, very similar to what we've got today, perhaps a little bit more of a kick to it than what the one today has. But what is missing in this system, when I was looking at the soundings of it and looking at the atmosphere 3D, we don't have cold enough temperatures and moisture in the right spot to generate snowflakes. Instead, it's more of a drizzle that develops. I know it's showing snow, but the soundings are saying something different. So that's interesting, because that could be a very light, patchy areas of freezing drizzle. It's right now, I don't think it's any cause for concern, because I think we'll get above freezing in the afternoon for a few hours, just like today. So it's really just the morning hours, mid to late morning, that we'll monitor this and see if this trend, a relatively new trend, by the way. This has only been in the data for about 6 hours. So we'll see if it holds on to this idea through the midday data runs, or will it fade away? Just something to watch. That's why it's on the board, and the chances have been added as we monitor that. Otherwise, we're going to see this little bubble of warm air kick in as we head into the upcoming weekend. And speaking of that, as we approach Friday night into Saturday, that is when the rain will increase. And the only caution I have, and the Euro hints at this, is the cold air being a little slower to get out of here than what the modeling shows. And I don't think that's true for Louisville, but Indiana, perhaps up 71, perhaps it could begin as something frozen before it goes over to a liquid fairly quick as we get into late Friday night and Saturday. Right now, nothing again for a cause for concern on this because there's still a lot of things to be worked out on how warm we're going to get on Friday. Some of the modelings take us into the 50s. And if we get to that level, then okay, we're fine. We don't have to worry about this part. So it really just depends on how well we gain some degrees here for the end of the week, determines how this rain set up. But majority modeling still has this as rain until Saturday night, 24 hours later. Then it goes back over to snow, but it looks to be a general, very snow showery, snow globe, light snow, perhaps an inch could fall out of this Saturday night into Sunday. It looks like, because again, it's on the leading edge of the Arctic boundary, so it's trying to form a storm system in this area. But I'm afraid it's moving too fast that it doesn't have enough time to really develop. If it slows down a bit more, yes, then a little more of a organized system could develop. And if it's not with this wave, it would be potentially with the one right behind it as that very cold air, which everyone's been talking about, arrives Monday into Tuesday, sending even freezing temperatures way down into Florida. That leads us to the next problem. Will there be another system to develop on the leading edge of that Arctic air about a week from today? That will depend on the attack of the cold air. If the cold air attacks straight down into, say, Texas, a little more west, then yes, we could end up with a storm system that could influence a little more, not only the southeast, but perhaps a little more in the Tennessee and the Ohio River valleys. Similar to the last system we had on Friday, it would have that kind of a look, which was not good for Atlanta and Tennessee and gave us a nice little thumping of snow, right? So that's important. If the angle of attack is a little more to the southeast, it will likely keep the storm track suppressed, and the system will have to go around us and could then provide for some wild wintry weather for areas that rarely even see it. And I'm talking about, yes, down into Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas. Once again, may see another round of this, but perhaps a little more of a significant potential there. But we don't want to jump on that yet, because the modeling sometimes can be very aggressive on these cold attacks and takes them too far south. And if the model is wrong and it doesn't dive as far south as indicated, then again, we're going to be into that storm track zone and the forecast could easily change. So lots of caution on the 10-day right now. We're going to keep it relatively quiet in terms of any snow chances in the extended until we get a lot more data. This is not like what we had a couple of weeks ago, and certainly on Friday. We don't have a lot of data screaming that this is going to be a snow event. It's all over the place, and still the majority are against it than for it. However, as meteorologists, we're looking at this and saying, okay, well, usually when we've seen this type of pattern develop, the modeling sometimes can be too cold and too far south with the attack, and therefore the storm track shifts north. It's always a danger in long-term forecasting, but we'll do that worrying for you. You guys don't have to worry about that, but that's where we stand right now on that trend. Okay, so questions real quick. I'm sure you're going to get on February. I did look at some of the data on that. I at least want to mention that as we approach February, I still see cold air coming. I just don't know how much of the cold air will get into the lower 48. But what it is standing out, though, as we head into the first week or two of February, heading toward Valentine's Day especially, is the lovely southeast ridge is trying to develop here in the southeast corner of the country. What does that mean? Well, it means the storm track is going to remain very active still for the southeast corner. And if there's cold air around, that would mean more winter storms. If there's enough warm air around, it would mean heavy rain. And as we evolve further into February, severe thunderstorm potential starts to show up again for the southeast corner of the country. Not saying here, just in general, these systems will have a little more of a thunderstorm component to them. So February right now, I don't know how cold it's going to get, but I can tell you at the moment, a lot of data indicates it's going to be an active month with several storm systems about every 3 or 4 days. We may have something we'll be tracking. So yay, fun. I hope it's not heavy rain, because that is common in cold winters. You get a frozen ground for a long time, a decent amount of snow, and then you warm things up rapidly and you get several rain events. Well, the ground is slow to thaw, right? So you end up with flooding issues. And that's my concern as we end into February. I hope that we can ease the storm track a bit, but that's something we'll be watching as we head down the road. All right, not to be all bad news, but these are things we think about. And I kind of unleash on you guys my thoughts all the time, right? Adam, Unbelievable snow in Florida and South Texas. Yeah, if it gets down to that area, which it's happened before, it's just very rare. But boy, if there's a year that it's going to do it, I think this is probably the year, right? Because we've been quite intense on these cold attacks as of late. Carrie, will the snow stick if it rained all day on Saturday? Yes, it will stick because we are dropping significantly Saturday night into Sunday back into the frozen tundra. So we'll have to watch for ice for any of the rain that fell on Saturday that could cause some icing issues in the area. How much of this rain, it doesn't look overly heavy, so I don't know yet how much of this is going to be washed away. Yes, it's going to be warm on Friday, well into the 40s. But as we saw on Sunday, even with sunshine in the 40s, that does cause some melting, but it doesn't cause a great deal rapidly, right? Because the sun goes still low. I think it'll be cloudy on Friday, so therefore we won't have the sun help in that sense. But we'll have some melting, but we're just going to gain it right back again with some light snow at the second half of the weekend, it looks like. But right now, there are no big snows in the 10-day. There are no ice storms in the 10-day. But the pattern is very, very cold. So anytime you're cold, that's step one. Just keep an eye on moisture. I mean, look at the Thursday system trying to sneak in there at the last second. I mean, it's weak, but modeling can do this sometimes, not see these little systems that move in. And those are the ones you got to really watch sometimes. All right, so good questions. Angie, accumulation potential Saturday night, it looks light. Right now, the most common number I've been seeing is like a half inch, like 1.2 here and there. It looks light. So we could get an advisory out of that just because the icy road potential and some light snow. That wouldn't surprise me, but that's still several days out. This is only Tuesday. So hey, bear with me, Angie. We'll nail that down. All right. Let's see. Oh, got a spammer. Hold on. Well, I can't get rid of it. Just don't click on anything that looks like a spam message, right? All right. Everyone seems... Oh, I got another spammer. A lot of spammers lately. Joel, send me the snow. All right, Joe. Well, gotten quite a bit lately, so we may add more onto it. We'll see. Let's see. Brad, not much melting, but if the rain gets under the ice on the roofs, heads up. Yes, and that is a very good point, Brad. And something I've thought about several times when I've walked outside is if there are any issues that have developed in your roof with this deep freeze and the snowpack, no doubt the warmer weather and the rain is going to expose problems. So pay attention to your roof, look up at your ceiling, of course, check all the spots. If you are prone to issues, that's something to monitor as we head into Friday night and Saturday there. Okay, again, not a heavy rain, but any amount of moisture being added to that snowpack on the roofs will add weight for sure. So good point. Any other questions? All right, let's get right to the 10-day. Let's get to that because I think that kind of tells the storyline as well. Let me advance this. Here we go. Overall, I think, again, we're going to be very cold tonight. I don't know if this is going to be the coldest night. It's unlikely because this cold attack Monday into Tuesday next week is brutal. But if we're cloudy and there are some snow showers or there is a snow system developing in our region, those numbers may not be as cold initially because we'll be cloudy. So still some fine tuning on just how extreme the cold could get for Monday and Tuesday. But no doubt that is certainly the coldest of the 10-day will be that period. With rapid warming, by the way, at the end of next week, sort of similar to this week, but another jump into the 40s, maybe 50s at the end of that week. So we're noticing these cold attacks are not locking on as long as they were initially. There are at least a few little falls that are trying to show up in between. But there is no, right now, warm signal that is showing up, like prolonged warmth. That is not showing up yet. Maybe sometime in May. We'll see. Carrie, is the airport for the is a 10-day for the airport area? It is. It is for the airport area. We go by just the forecast for the region. Sometimes we try to adjust the numbers to reflect a little more of the area if it's easy to do. But when you have big differences between the suburbs and the city, it's just easier to focus on the official numbers for the city. And we'll just kind of explain it day by day. I know it gets a little complex, but that is how the Louisville Metro and Wave Country works here. Adam, 0 to 45. Yeah, it's quite the jump. And again, it's that thawing and freezing back and forth that if there are any issues that are going to show up, pay attention. And boy, it's worth mentioning the roads. Oh boy, this is going to be a wild pothole season. And water main breaks are common too when you do the thawing and freezing. So pay attention to your pipes, protect them. If we do lose a little more of the snow cover, we don't have as much on the ground. I think that's right now helping us on insulating a lot of the pipes that are external, which is good. But if we lose some of that snowpack and we get this kind of brutal cold, then I think we're going to have more of an issue on frozen pipes and water main breaks and so forth. So we really need the snow to stay. We really do. It needs to stay on the ground, at least some snow cover to help us out there, and protect our plants too, because we don't want a 2021 repeat where we had all that plant damage with that much protection. So we'll see how that plays out. But no doubt, drip your faucets the next couple of nights, especially, and certainly into early next week. Shauna, are we looking at any more snowstorms in the near future? Not right now, but the pattern is cold, so we'll be watching it. That southern system next week is what I think is everyone's going to be talking about, and that's the one to watch, see if it trends back north. All right, last question here from Danny. Can we get a top 5 snowiest Januaries? We are not far from it. You're right. We are at number 8 for the snowiest on record right now for Louisville. On January is at 14 inches. Yes, we could get into the top 5 this season. It's certainly, if there's a winter to do that, it will get up there. I think the snowiest winter we've ever had, though, I believe still holds. It's about 50. I want to say, I'm going from memory, I think it's 50.1 inches in the 1978, 77, 78 winter. I believe it's 50.1 inches. Let's hope we don't have that repeat, right? Okay. All right, guys. Sorry I have to run again, but I at least want to update you on where we stand. And again, watch this Thursday system. We'll be monitoring the trends on that for more adjustments. And then obviously we'll monitor the weekend, the holiday weekend. I think this is going to keep evolving and changing. So keep checking back in as we have a very busy pattern that we'll need to monitor. All right, guys, stay warm. We're almost there, right? Derby Day is like what? 70, 80 days away. We'll get there before long. See you on the flip side.